Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we have the pleasure of watching Jaco Le Perroquet playing in a British Tier 6 freak of nature. This is the Excalibur, and it's an absolute bizarre reward vehicle from the second set of personal missions. So, Jaco Le Perroquet today is going to be trying to get an ace tanker, and as you might have seen from the thumbnail, I think him getting an ace tanker with the amount of destruction that's going to happen in this replay is almost a formality. But stay tuned, there are some twists and turns in this replay that might surprise you. So, Jaco Le Perroquet is immediately showing you one of the most bizarre things about the Excalibur, and that is that it has a semi-traversable turret. It's able to turn itself 100 degrees to the left and 100 degrees to the right, which kind of gives this thing about as much of a turret as you can possibly have inside World of Tanks. The vehicle looks absolutely bizarre when it's turning its turret the whole way around. And yeah, I think there's a few names that the community have given this thing over the years, and quite rightly so, because it's such a bizarre tank. Now, what do you really need to know about the Excalibur? Well, it's a tier 6 tank that has the same gun as the Black Prince. And while the gun on the Black Prince doesn't do so well at tier 7, when you got it down at tier 6 and you're playing against tier 4 tanks, yeah, it's going to do a hell of a lot better. This gun has decent standard pen of 165. It's got a great premium pen of 192. Actually, this isn't the Black Prince's gun with regards to penetration. It's only the Black Prince's gun with regards to alpha. 192 is not great on its premium rounds, but look at its HE, 190 with 70 millimeters of penetration, taking this tank from a great damage per minute of 2,000 up to the kind of levels where you're ripping apart your opponents very quickly indeed. Now, Jaco Le Perroquet is using vents, a gun rammer, and a rotation device on this vehicle, so they've completely sacrificed the view range of this tank. It has a rather poor base view range of 360, and while you'd hope that they've got good crew skills with recon, situational awareness, and brothers in arms, they're not using a premium consumable. Full free to play today, apart from, of course, the 30 premium rounds on this tank. And that means that Jaco is going to really struggle with their view range all the way through the replay. However, when you are playing on the Mountain Pass map, you don't really have to worry so much about view range. But Jaco is going to have fantastic dispersion, which has been improved from the rotation device, as well as better turret traverse speed and also hull traverse speed as well. So it's going to be a very nimble Excalibur you're going to see today. Personally, for me, I would prefer to be using coated optics on this tank, but on this map it is a 50-50, and who am I to judge? Because Jaco Le Perroquet is going to be getting more kills in World of Tanks today than I've ever managed in my 100,000 battles of playing this game. Now, one thing that I'd really like to see Jaco Le Perroquet use is intuition on this vehicle. I know, you're playing QuickyBaby Bingo out there watching the replay. But of course, with a tank like this and its fantastic high explosive rounds, switching out when you know that you're shooting at a lightly armored tank and being able to pump up that alpha damage from 150 up to that wonderful 190 total can be very, very powerful. And also, this tank, well, it's got a fair old amount of ammunition with a potential damage of 9,000. You can actually start to run out of one of your types of ammo towards the latter part of the battle. When you're in a really nice matchup like this, you really don't need all of those gold rounds. And when you're in a really horrible matchup, yeah, you're probably going to be running out of those gold rounds and only left with your standard ammunition. Which is one of the great things about taking 2 ammunition loadouts. One for your nice matchups, and one for your nasty matchups. You could do that at all tiers, but especially tiers like tier 6, which end up meeting not so many tier 4s, but a lot of tier 8s, when you want to be a bit more credit efficient, and you're going to be getting into the late part of the game. It can be really nice. So this is the part of the battle where I bet the Jaco Le Perroquet would be wanting to use coated optics, because now they're getting outspotted by what looks like a tier 4 Japanese medium. Yeah, there you go, the Chihi actually ricocheting off the Excalibur, which is impressive because this thing's only got 50 millimeters of armor. And Jaco is now having to blind fire gold rounds, which they're quickly switching to regular rounds, realizing that they're probably going to put themselves at a huge credit deficit by the end of the battle if they're blind firing but not hitting gold rounds against a tier 4 tank. So this is the awkward thing. You specialize your vehicle in one way, it's not so good in the other. Like me, I quite often don't use durability devices. I've been using them a lot more on quite a few of the heavy tanks I play, but but I don't use durability devices on heavies because I prefer mobility, for example. And that's great until you've got your tracks locked down and now you lose your entire tank. Doesn't matter if you've got a turbo on your vehicle, if you get your tracks locked down and you can't actually manage to get them back on to use the enhanced speed that you have. And in this kind of a situation, again, Jacko might have all of the gun handling, they might have all of the rotation speed, but they don't have the view range to be able to spot out their opponents at decent distances. Luckily, when a KV-1 is firing at you, oh my word, for 296 HE, yeah, this is incredibly awkward. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jacko Le Purriquet is going to just take a bit of a risk here, that they're hopefully not spotted anymore, and they're going to get out of this horrible situation and find a scenario where they're more useful. Oh dear, why does Wargaming always hide the rocks behind bushes? Although, to be fair, I think that was more of a case of Jacko driving with a bit of confusion. Probably wondering why they couldn't manage to spot through that scenario, but it's painfully obvious as to why they couldn't. Dude, panicking in that situation is normal. I think most people would do it. The amount of times that I've crashed in awkward situations and found myself getting destroyed, yeah, it happens to all of us, really, in World of Tanks. Okay, so look, Jacko Le Purriquet has had a pretty good game so far. They've got 4 kills. The rest of their team has 1 kill. However, their damage, it's okay so far for a battle like this. I think they could have probably hit 1 or 2 more shells. But again, I think it was down to the lack of view range as to why they weren't really efficient in that scenario. So Jacko is trying to get their team to create a tactic. And it's, of course, it's the hill tactic of mountain pass. Go and get the high ground and shoot down on all of the little scrubbies down below you. And Jacko finally using his intuition there, being fully reloaded and switching out. You've got to love it. I like Wargaming's new notification features in this patch. So simple, yet so good. Massive thumbs up to you, Wargaming, whenever you add quality of life enhancements to the game that aren't just doing crazy things that jeopardize the balance or the integrity of the legacy of your free-to-play title. Okay, so look, Jacko's on the high ground. And another thing that this vehicle has is one of the most flexible guns probably on any tank destroyer in the game, because it has 10 degrees of gun depression as well. So that is going to allow Jacko to really go to town on all of the opponents down below them. Jacko's going to put 1 round in, missed the second on the Type T-34. With a premium consumable there, Jacko would have reloaded in time to be able to get that shot in, but that is the nature of the pay-to-win game that we play. But if he gets set on fire, I guess the fire extinguisher replacing that is going to be more than useful, right? So unfortunately, the VK3601, a very powerful Tier 6 heavy tank, nice, gets shut down by Jacko Le Purriquet, who manages to get 1 more shot into the Type T-34 here. Maybe an HE shell would have gone in, but I don't think it would have made too much difference, as the HE shell is very unlikely to roll up for 250. So I think using armor piercing is the right decision in that scenario. Oh, wow! Jacko's teammate, the T-20E, actually catches a shell from the Su-5. Jacko puts 1 round into the Hellcat, follows it up with a 2nd round in the Hellcat. Probably should have loaded an HE round there to just make sure that they died in 2 shots, but you know what? Oh my word, this artillery is making me very nervous right now. When you're playing in a tank that only has 15mm of rear armor, artillery is pretty much a death sentence. Oh gosh, a full health Churchill 7 here now below Jacko, and he's going to use the rotation device really nicely now. I'm amazed at how little dispersion Jacko has, and part of it's down to the great aim time of 1.8 on this vehicle, but a lot of it is now down to the rotation device that Jacko is using. While it didn't pay off not using coated optics earlier on in the battle, it seems to be really paying off now with how much Jacko can move on this ridge line, not exposing their armor, and being able to pick up the kill there on the Churchill 7. And we see that Jacko and a T-82 HMC in the corner are now in like a 2 versus many scenario, and that artillery is going to be so useful. Look how the enemy are now just driving straight towards the artillery, wanting to be able to get the self-propelled gun out of the game. And that allows Jacko to just absolutely farm up on top of the hill. Again, Jacko, I think using one of those HE rounds might have been more useful right now to finish off the Honey 3 quickly, because you're starting to run out of ammunition. You've only got 11 armor-piercing and APCR shells left and 5 HE shells that we're going to have to try and make work. And considering that the enemy still have 1,473 hit points, hopefully you're going to be hitting all of those shots. So the BT-7 here. Come on, intuition switch out. Come on, Jacko. No, you're going to auto-aim the AP shells in this scenario, meaning that you're going to have to fire a few extra shots into the back of the BT-7, where HE shells would have easily been able to take out that vehicle in a couple of shells. Oh, wow, Jacko, that is lucky. The KV-1 that fired HE at them earlier, doing 280 damage, now fires AP for 186, meaning that now Jacko is on 19 hit points in a 1 versus 2 scenario against 2 tier 4 tanks. Although, one of those tanks is a Matilda, so to all intents and purposes, it's a tier 7 tank, right? Yeah, I think that might be stretching it a little bit, but there's no doubt that the Matilda at tier 4 is the most dangerous of tanks. So meaning that Jacko, with now 12 kills to their name, only needs 2 more to be able to pick up the rarest medal in World of Tanks. It's the Rezene Heroes medal for standing alone. Well, not alone, but managing to vanquish 14 players on the enemy team. Oh gosh, the Matilda just manages to spot Jacko. Only 1 shell from that rapid-firing tier 4 is going to spell certain demise for them. But the SU-5 as well on the enemy team might also rain demise from above. But oh gosh, Jacko misses 1 of his 3 remaining APCR rounds. The artillery misses. Jacko goes for the turret. Oh, poor aim there. A little bit too much to the right. And that's 2 of your... Oh, no. 3 of Jacko's APCR shells. Oh, and the 4th gold round bounces. Oh, Jacko, I think you've gone goofed it. There's no way you're going to be able to take out a Matilda from the front with these HE shells. No point of even wasting those shots right now, buddy. The 70mm of pen is not going to deal with it. And Jacko, now realizing the situation they've got themselves into, finds that 70mm of pen is not going to find green on any part of the Matilda. Unless Jacko manages to get up. Yeah, 15 of 4 shells left, Jacko. No point, buddy. Absolutely no point. Oh, Jacko, come on. You're killing me now. How are you going to get 14 kills with only 3 shells left in his tank? The script is set. The prophecies have been foretold. And Matilda clearly knows where Jacko is. But interestingly enough, Jacko's going to be incredibly sneaky here, managing to not get spotted by the Matilda for quite a while because he was pulling back behind the bushes while he fires. And the Matilda, to all intents and purposes, probably thinks that, well, they can't be there anymore because I proxy spotted them. They must have left. And Jacko tries to fire 1 of his 3 remaining shells into the back of the Matilda, unable to pen. But the next one does go in. 187, that's more like it. And the one after that goes in as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jacko begins a 1 versus 1 with no ammunition. How can they manage to get rid of the SU-5 here? They're right ahead. They're right in front of them. Jacko's going to turn towards the SU-5. Dodges the first shell. Looks like they're going ramming speed right towards the enemy artillery. I bet you didn't see that one coming. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sorry if with the thumbnail, you might have thought that the obvious was going to happen here. But it didn't. There's one thing that I learned many, many years ago, and that is that if you put 14 or 12 kills in the title of a YouTube video, then it's kind of ruining the plot. But many of my long-term subscribers will know that I like to throw the occasional curveball at you. And boy, was this a curveball that hit me right in the gut. Jacko Le Perroquet managing to pick up 13 kills of the 14 that their team was able to secure when the non-painted tier 4 self-propelled gun manages to shut down the tier 6 reward tank with 13 kills. Ouch, that was painful. Nevertheless, even with a defeat, considering how much that Jacko did, he doesn't even need courageous resistance to get an ace tanker for the Excalibur here. With 1,587 base for the near 6,000 damage that they dealt, giving them a high caliber medal, that is 4 times what anyone else on their team was able to achieve. But with courageous resistance, this would have been 1,587 plus 839. This would have been a 2,400 base win for Jacko. A simply preposterous amount of damage. And funnily enough, considering all of the credits that Jacko received, they still made 93,000 credits profit, although 65k of that was for a reward, and 42k was because they were using a credit booster in a non-premium tank. So, Jacko Le Perroquet, congratulations to you on 13 kills in World of Tanks, more than I've ever managed, securing a Pools medal, and I'd love, if I'm honored enough to have you watching my terrible commentary on your awesome replay, if you would leave a comment with what you were trying to achieve with that final push. Were you just trying to go for the ram kill to see if you could secure 14 kills? Because trying to get 14 kills in World of Tanks is often like chasing the golden goose. It just leads you into frustration. And Jacko sums it up well here. Jacko says, great game, but pressure and low health made me panic. Panic equals missed shells equals no more shells equals defeat. Wow, what a methodical and humble way to sum it up. Some people would be cursing RNG, some people would be cursing a terrible team, and Jacko shows immense humility in realizing that they could have done a little bit more in what was already a gigantic effort. So, Jacko Le Perroquet, merci beaucoup for uploading your awesome replay to the What Replays website for the community to enjoy. I thoroughly did, and I hope all of you out there enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Friday, it's time for some fresh drop tokens to help you get closer towards the free Japanese tiger or the Dickomax. So swing by, come say hi on Twitch, and get some sick rewards as well at the same time. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.